Yo, Scrawny with the Skinny, back for another Fantasyland, and still Malding. I don't think that the Thunderpick Championships 2023 or Roulette Cup 2023 are deserving of being in the primary fantasy league. If you look back at the previous 14 events, the most sketchy format would have been Blast Showdowns, online, 8-team bracket, single elimination. These events, if they were to be included in the season, should have been exactly that. We should have started the fantasy event for playoffs. 8 teams, single elimination, something to include them. But to have us do groups and then blindly have our drafts move forward into playoffs, not once, but twice in the same weekend, while we've also got CCT this and CCT that going. Dude, nobody cares. Nobody cares about these games. Nobody cares about these results. And we're seeing that in this flooding of roster movements at the moment of teams that are in these events. Roulette Cup 2023 started, and 9Z were never even included in the fantasy event because their roster wasn't submitted in time. People don't care. They are using these events as practice, and these types of events will have bogus results for that reason. Why are we putting this on par with the IEMs, with the Blast Fall Finals, with the Major Cycle? Why are these events given the same weight as those? I think HLTV made a mistake. I think if you were to ask them, they know it, but for whatever reason, they have to include them. And as somebody who does HLTV's videos on a near weekly basis, obviously it's a bit, tough for me to come out and speak my mind because I wholeheartedly disagree with the inclusion of these events for fantasy, and I think that this needs to be revised for the following season. For anybody who's in the top 10 right now, right, playing for $10,000, who have put in just hours of work and effort into trying to play this as professionally and seriously as possible, and I'm talking top 10 worldwide, not people like us on the celebrity leaderboard who are at least making $50 a pop and playing for $1,000 out of a pool of 25 or 30 people. Come on, man. Why does this get to decide the season? And I made all these complaints to HLTV before the event started. So the fact that my spirit bet on Roulette has already gone upside down versus VP, it's not because I'm doing poorly. I specifically told them I wouldn't want to win points from this type of event, and I sure as fuck don't want to lose points. But with that out of the way, let's keep playing. All right? I just thought you guys should know where my stance is on this because, again, when the real Counter-Strike starts back up again with the Chinese event around the corner, CAC I think is what it's called, when we get to Blast Fall Finals, World Finals, when rosters have actually cemented themselves, fantasy matters again. But the biggest complaint I hear people make about fantasy, or the biggest jab or poke when you try to talk fantasy seriously, is they just say it all comes down to luck. And a part of it does. That is unarguable. The way we avoid that is not by including shit events like this. So, Goblins, Big's great. Spirit, not so much. We'll see where we end up here, right? We're doing Thunderpick Championships 2023 now. And so I've learned a few things. Yes, that's right. GSL format is not round robin. Not each of these teams will play everybody else in their group. This is how the format goes down. You open up versus the team that you have been allocated, right? 1 to 2, 3 to 4, green to red. The winner of their opening game plays the other winner. Go 2-0. You move through with 1 round of padding. If you lose, one more team gets out of the group in a 1-1 game. For playoffs, Group A will play versus Group C in the quarterfinals. Group B will play versus Group D in the quarterfinals. And therefore, if you're trying to get 2 teams that will be grand finalists, you must choose a team from Group A/C and a team from Group B/D. You're looking at this list of 8 teams versus this list of 8 teams for potential grand final matchups. That's how she rolls. With that information, I will tell you what I think is going to happen here. Now, Cloud9 have lost Shiro, so this is another fucking roster that's just void. Sorry. Fnatic versus Ninjas, this has been going on. I mean, if you want to keep tabs on all this online CS, there's 3 or 4 banana cups going on all at the same time. I mean, Spirit just beat Big yesterday, or excuse me, vice versa. But it was for CCT finals. Spirit had to play their opening Roobet match as the third best of 3 of that day. Man. So I'm just going to say, I think Virtus Pro is an underrated pick, and I just kind of slept on them because VP, I rate VP highly. I had them back at Gamers 8, rode that high. Online, I just thought, I don't know what to expect, and I put my faith in Spirit. But for this group, I'll put Virtus Pro at the top of the list, and then I'm still going to select Cloud9 even without Shiro. I think. I don't really know, man. Take everything that's said here with a grain of salt, except for the rant at the start, because that's really why I wanted to make this video. Let's go Virtus Pro and Cloud9. Somehow they get through without Shiro. Over here, I think Monty have a hell of a group that they could just stomp around in. The FaZe matchup, that could be a problem, but I think FaZe Online is a huge question mark. Monty also opening up versus a North American team should be really good for them. Yeah, there's 2 teams here that I think have great opening matchups. It's Monty versus Wildcard, and it's Mouse versus M80. So Monty plus FaZe. Big, even though Furia could throw some punches, this isn't the best opening game for Big, which is a bit of a shame because I put a lot of stock in Big, especially in their online results, and it's just that opening matchup that could hold them back. I'm going to say Big and Furia make it out just because Heroic is currently in flux, another dead roster. M80 versus Mouse. Mouse takes that. Complexity, Spirit. Now, Complexity, recent run, all great, fantastic, but Spirit, the realm of online Counter-Strike plays well to them, and a team that was really hyped up because of Donk coming into this back-to-back online bonanza. But I'm going to say Complexity take this one, and the 2 teams leaving this group are Mouse and Complexity. Spirit could upend one of the 2, but I think, you go back to Cole just recently playing the North American Showdown. They've been playing online CS lately. They absolutely stomped Liquid in that grand finals as well to qualify for fall finals. So I think Mouse and Complexity here. And if anything, I want to say Complexity and Spirit. No, I don't. It's Mouse. Mouse and Complexity get through. Because of this M80 game, Mouse should get a matchup versus Cole that they could be able to win. I think that playing off of Jim Hat will be good for them. Yimpat has crazy stats online prior to coming through with the Mouse main roster, LAN events, etc. Let's revisit this. VP, Cloud9, Monty, FaZe, Big, Furia, Mouse, Complexity. And remember, if you're going to go for a 2-2-1 and try to predict grand finalists, it's one team from these 2 groups and one team from these 2 groups. They are stacked vertically for your ease. Right now, I'm sitting on this team. Yimpat, Shui, Crimbo, Tabson, Burrow, the Gremlins. We've got the Goblins in Roobet. We got the Gremlins in Thunderpick. Goblins and Gremlins. What's the difference? Who knows? Yimpat Shui, again, I think really easy opening game versus M80 should bode well for them. Yimpat specifically. If you want to, I would say go Complexity in Big. And again, that becomes because I think that Big will get through this group with a bit more struggle than Monty. I think Monty actually get through easily, right? Again, if we're trying to predict which team gets grand finals from this list, I'm putting my money on Big or Monty. Group stage will be easier for Monty, but I think Big have a better chance in playoffs specifically. With that being said, we have to remember that Monty are a last-second addition to this event. It was supposed to be Team Liquid, and instead Monty has been put in their place. But guess what? Monty's inclusion has kept them at the price of Liquid players. That's right, folks. All right? Take a look at this. We go down to Monty. These are the price tags of Liquid's players. If you compare the current Monty price tags in Thunderpick to back what they were at Roobet, Waro 2K, $10,000 cheaper. Demka, $10,000 cheaper. Krasnal's only 2K less. Bro is $10,000 less, and SDY is something like 7 or 8. So to me, Bro is the steal, right? His ratings lately have been great, even though I put more stock in him on LAN than online. It's looking solid enough, and I think that the whole team is just gelling really well right now, plus a very easy group. Again, opening up versus Wildcard and potentially having to play FaZe. At worst, having to go back and play Saw afterwards instead. So I think Monty are a good bet here, and because of that price tag, I think there's only one other roster that I kind of want to show you. To me, Crimbo and Tabson, again, you want some big in your life. and you want Monty because making the most of that 185 price tag is what makes me be able to double down on big. So you have two choices. If you want to go more Monty, less big, I'd say drop Crimbo. Make sure to keep Tabson, who's playing some great Counter-Strike in CS2. And with that $209,000, you can find yourself an easy Waro 2K, who again is playing online where he absolutely thrives. So this to me is like the Monty over big mix. But Tabson and Bro are great price points, and you can play around with that $209,000 however you damn well like. Look at the options you have for yourselves. I was originally going to go Cloud9 for this, Cloud9 and big, but then I feel like I've been kind of pushed back into the Mouse camp by way of Shiro's departure. If, however, I were to go big and Monty on the right side of the bracket, Crimbo, Tabson, and Bro for affordability, the team that I would replace Mouse with would be Complexity. Now again, right, Complexity versus Spirit opening game is a little bit sketchy, but Complexity could very well go on to be in the grand finals, if not win this thing. I think Virtus Pro, they'll be their biggest opposition from the other group. Complexity can beat anybody else on this list. Mouse is a question mark, just because we've seen more out of Cole as of late, right? Mouse still had a solid showing back at IEM Sydney, but not even as good as our boys of the NA Super Team. If you want to go, again, instead of Mouse over Complexity, right? Well, you're working it with JT, who at 185 is kind of comparable to Shuhei, but actually opens up an extra $10,000. And JT back at Sydney played fantastic. If you look at JT's recent events, they're some of his best events yet. Excuse me. From the last couple of years. So I think Elige is doing great things for everybody. He's getting the best out of Floppy. He's getting the best out of JT. He is raising the floor of Complexity to new heights. If you grab JT, guess who you get? Elige. Yeah. Now this is a fucking team. You go Crimbo, Tabson, Elige, JT, and you still slip in with our boy Bro. $6,000 extra. What do you want to do with that? If you were to replace Bro instead, unfortunately, nobody else on Monty. And, then you're taking from the opposite side of the bracket. Maybe you mess around with Roy. Still cheap, though, so you still have that extra $6,000. I just want to remind everybody, if you have $5,000 to $6,000 left, I know there's that itch in your brain to spend the whole million, but my best result last season was the Paris first stage, and with that one I had something like, I think, $7,000 left. So just try to ignore that part of your brain for, I think, a mixture like this. And if you try to replace JT, you're not really working with anybody else in Complexity either. Same problem. If you replace Elige with somebody more affordable like Floppy, who's the second most affordable after JT, you're still working with 198. And then what do you get? Again, kind of the same problem. You could go double Monty in that case. If you go double Monty in that case, now we're just getting into like a lopsided 4 players to 1 player based on playoff stage. But I'm not really sure what the best formula is to play a format like this because we don't do them often. And I hope we never do them again.